Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to sit down and kind of recap my traveling in Laos. To give you a brief summary of the travels, I was on a tour with 17 other younger individuals. It was a tour specifically for people under the age of like 38. With this group, I traveled Laos and Thailand, and then I added on Vietnam with a different tour company. This one was more business related. So I did not end up speaking to the camera and doing very much chatting during this trip because it was so busy. We had jam-packed days and I was with 17 other people, so I wasn't going to just be pulling out my camera to talk to you. I'm not that kind of a vlogger, but I thought I could recap a little bit and explain some of the clips that you'll see because I did try to film as much as possible just to give you a bit of a feel for the experience. So I began my travels in Vientiane, Laos, which is the capital of Laos. I wandered the city of Vientiane on my own because I did have one full day there before I met up with the group for the tour. So I found a vegan restaurant that was amazing, and then I met the group and we had like a first night out kind of dinner with everybody all together to get to know each other. Next day, a few of us decided to go and wander a little bit more, so we stopped in some temples where you can see a lot of monks walking around. In these temples, they have these kind of like headstone, tombstone things, but they're obviously very decorated, and what we took away from wandering was that it would be like a family's kind of shrine. When you die, you are added to this family's kind of pyramid. They're very decorated, and people will leave offerings such as like food, drinks, lots of candy and sweets, and flowers out and sort of around these shrines. It's all very ornamental and beautifully decorated, so no matter what street you're on, there's kind of always something to catch your eye. But I wandered around with two of the guys from the tours. Yeah, took in a little bit more of Vientiane, which also included seeing a kind of water show synchronized to music at the arch.
Concept afterwards that we can all be Buddhist.
And if you're thinking this looks a little bit French inspired, it's because it is. The city of Vientiane is obviously named by the French. From Vientiane, we headed to Vang Vieng, and I'm probably saying these names very improperly. As a group, we did an absolutely beautiful sunset hike. It was actually quite challenging. It was a very steep hike, but it was so stunning at the top. They have like a motorcycle up there so you can take pictures on it. But it was definitely a spectacular moment, just overlooking the countryside and all of the beautiful mountains. will say from this trip I had no expectations going into it. I was very excited for the food and Thailand, but in terms of Laos, I really did little to no research and I was just kind of open to whatever. So I think I was probably most surprised just by how beautiful and stunning the countryside is. There was definitely a very interesting night scene in Vang Vieng. We headed to a couple bars, and the first one was definitely more nightclubby. It was like a more fun vibe. There was a cute little dog that was going around.
So soft.
So everybody was enjoying just hanging out with the puppy. And once they closed, we head over to another one. Now this was, I have never experienced a place like this. Basically just a fully black room, and you like go through a door and then a curtain, and it was just jam-packed with people like shoulder to shoulder. And yeah, it was like a very interesting experience. It's not really my vibe. I don't really go out, but I will say if you are here, the night scene is different. So maybe not quite for me, but maybe for other people you'd be very interested in it. We also had a really fun kind of adventure day here, and we went out and did kayaks as a group, kayaking along this beautiful river, again enjoying the countryside and the mountains.
Guys, smile! Look at here! Hey! What's that? Oh my God,
It was a little bit like whitewater rafting. There wasn't necessarily whitewater, but there were some small rapids, so some people took a spill. But from the kayaking, we stopped at this really cool spot where we went through these like caves in a tube, and unfortunately nobody had videos of that because we were told not to take our phones, they would get wet. And then we had a lovely lunch all together, kind of this cool little, I don't know what you'd call it, but there was like a pool and not quite a resort, but felt a little bit resort-y. We kayaked down the river a little bit further before we were taken by tuk-tuk to this place called the Blue Lagoon.
Go.
We got it. It's definitely very different than, say, the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, and the water was definitely a little bit more green, but it was a lot of fun. There was like a zip line kind of going into the water, like water slides, a diving board you could jump off of. Really fun just to tan a little bit and enjoy swimming around at the lagoon. You could tell it was a place where both locals and tourists went, and it wasn't crazy busy when we were there, but it was just kind of a nice chill way to end the day after the adventuring of the kayaks and the tubing and everything. Had a lot of fun in Vang Vieng, and then we headed to Luang Prabang afterwards, which was probably one of my favorite towns or cities, I guess town, in Laos. think Luang Prabang has a lot to offer in terms of the markets and the food and a lot of the cultural things of Laos that you'd want to see, as well as having the nature. But we were able to see another beautiful sunset from the top of this temple, which there are, it was something over 250 stairs to get to on the one side, and on the other side I think there's 400 plus stairs to get to the top of this temple. Of course, you want to dress modestly, and this was definitely something that a lot of the tourists were coming to do because it was jam-packed at the top, which I don't think I have any clips of. It's a beautiful spot for the sunset though, so a lot of people are going up there to take their Instagram photos and just enjoy the sunset. The night markets in Luang Prabang are so much fun, so beautiful. They're nice and chill just to walk through, but there's beautiful art and textiles and food, and it was just not an overwhelming city feel, but still had a lot going on in the evening. It felt very easy to navigate and just kind of felt quaint, but still lots to do. We even had a lovely experience of getting to feed the monks one morning. So we woke up at 4:30 a.m. so that we could be seated on the street at 5 a.m. for the monks to walk through the town, and we would give them, there were like little snack bars and then rice, so sticky rice. But we all had gloves on, and then of course monks have many rules. There's like over 200 of them or something, but they are only allowed to eat food that is donated to them, and they must eat before noon, I believe. So they're allowed to eat multiple times a day, but it has to be before a certain time. And as women, we are not allowed to touch a monk, so they have kind of these like chalice things attached to them with a strap, and they walk in a straight line down the street, and we drop the food into their little basket. So there's no like handing them anything. There's no way that I would accidentally touch a monk. I'm just dropping the rice or the food, or money. People also give them money in this basket, and it's all touching. The money is touching the rice, touching everything. But anyways, they accept the donations and walk along, so that was really cool to do. Another really interesting thing in the area is going to the Quang Si waterfalls. These were absolutely beautiful, and I have to say I would return and spend more time at the waterfalls. Kind of this whole cascade waterfall that then goes kind of throughout this park, and you can find little spots to swim in. So we definitely saw the waterfall, saw some cute, possibly homeless dogs, and then enjoyed swimming kind of in this river, little pools area. So as a group, we just hung out there. And then at the very bottom kind of end of this area, they actually have some rescued bears. Now, I'm not sure exactly how they're treated. It was like a fairly large enclosure, but they did have like some of these Asian bears that were rescued there. So we saw some of them taking a nap in these hammocks. But it was a great experience, and I think I'm just such a water person. I definitely could have spent more time at the waterfalls just hanging out and enjoying them.
have a chance to help them. Yeah, sometimes the local they come by and yeah, because it will be a holy area that not allowed to fishing.
So they're going to the wild,
So then they have
take
to
them to sell them, people release them to the
Mushrooms, I don't know. Our last night in Luang Prabang, we had drinks overlooking the Mekong River, and it was just a really beautiful sunset again that we all got to enjoy and chat and just spend some more time together as a group before we then went to our dinner.
Whatever's going on.
Food markets in all of these places is always amazing, and of course incredibly cheap and affordable, especially the quality of food. It's just kind of crazy, and that is one thing now being home post traveling in Southeast Asia. I would say I am just desperately missing the food. And we ended Laos with a really cool experience of a homestay in a village. So we ended up going on this slow boat for 2 days. And it was honestly such a beautiful way of ending this trip because it was very relaxed and quiet. The first day it was quite sunny, so lots of us spent the day just tanning on the front of the boat. The meals on this boat were also incredible, and like the vegetarian options, they were always just fabulous and fed us so much food. But yeah, I had some time for journaling, listening to music, having good chats with some of the people on the tour.
I'm just gonna get a couple of mines. I was like,
It's almost like they cost less than £2.
And then we made our way to this mountainside village where we were welcomed into this home with a ceremony that was really lovely. Slept over in this family's home. They cooked us dinner and we played with children in the village and had a tour of the village, and just very interesting to get a little bit more of an understanding of what some of these hillside tribes and villagers lived like. I absolutely loved this time and this experience, and then from here we ended up getting back onto the slow boat and having one more long 8-hour day, I believe it was, to get to the Thailand border, and we crossed and then began our journey in Thailand. I will say, if you are ever thinking of visiting Southeast Asia, going to Thailand or Vietnam, Laos is really not that far away. It's definitely affordable, the people are incredibly friendly, and I would absolutely recommend it to people to see. country. One little tidbit of history that we did learn about Laos is during the Vietnam War, when American soldiers were unable to drop bombs in Vietnam due to weather or whatever reasons, there are these rules of war. Again, I won't have the right terminology, but they couldn't just drop bombs anywhere in Vietnam. So what they would do is they would offload their bombs from the planes in Laos, because there technically were no rules of war that they had to uphold with Laos at the time. So even today, Laos is in the countryside, has many undetonated bombs. The reason they wouldn't go off is because American soldiers would fly low to the ground just to drop them, and they wouldn't actually detonate because they weren't high up enough, moving at a fast enough speed, or hitting anything. They'd be landing in soft fields, typically rice fields. And our guide in Vietnam had told us there are over 100 casualties a year from people unknowingly stepping on or discovering these bombs in Laos. It's a very safe country to travel, and the areas in which you're going are going to be free and clear of these bombs, but in the far countryside where you may have just small villages and mostly just rice fields and farms, this is where some of the locals do run the risk of coming across the bombs from the Vietnam War. They're definitely a more poor country, and they are also a communist country, so they would have been the first communist country that I actually had ever traveled to before Vietnam, but they do have a very sad history, essentially, because they are bordering Vietnam and are just neighbors to this area that has had a lot of turmoil in the last while. But I think that means all the better reason to visit Laos and help support them and their people and their economy. So I hope you all enjoyed this video and little recap of my tour and my time in Laos. Thailand is coming up next, so I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for supporting this channel, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.